Oh, hello, great readers. I'm Bo Chen.
I'm Nimikung.
I'm Ven Chan.
In this class, I'll read to all of you a part of A Tale of Two Cities, Book the Third, Golden Thread.
Yes.
Al.
A Tale of Two Cities, Book the Third, Golden Thread. Charles Dickens. Chap. 14 The Knitting Town, Sec 3. Good patriots will know what that means. Let me see her. Go tell her that I wish to see her. If those eyes of yours were bidwinches, were to Miss Purse, and I was an English four-poster, they shouldn't lose a splinter of me. Well, you a good friend, woman. Madame Defarge was not likely to follow these idiomatic remarks in detail. But she so far understood them as to perceive that she was set at naught. Woman imbecile and perplexed, said Madame Defarge, frowning. I take no answer from you. I demand to see her. Either tell her that I demand to see her, or stand out of the way of the door and let me go to her. That, with an angry explanatory wave of her right arm. I little thought, said Miss Pross, that I should ever want to understand your nonsensical language. Neither of them for a single moment released the other's eyes. Madame Defarge had not moved from the spot where she stood when Miss Pross first became aware of her. But she now advanced one step. I am a Briton, said Miss Pross. I am desperate. I don't care an English twopence for myself. I know that the longer I keep you here, the greater hope there is for my ladybird. Thus Miss Pross, with a shake of her head and a flash of her eyes between every rapid sentence, and every rapid sentence a whole breath. Thus Miss Pross, who had never struck a blow in her life, but her courage was of that emotional nature that it brought the irrepressible tears into her. Wait. This was a courage that Madame Defarge so little comprehended as to mistake for weakness. She laughed. You poor wretch. What are you worth? I addressed myself to that doctor. Then she raised her voice and called out, Citizen Doctor, wife of Evermond, child of Evermond. Perhaps the following silence, perhaps some latent disclosure in the expression of Miss Pross's face, perhaps a sudden misgiving apart from either suggestion, whispered to Madame Defarge that they were gone. Three of the doors she opened swiftly and looked in. Those rooms are all in disorder. There has been hurried packing. There are odds and ends upon the ground. There is no one in that room behind you. Never, said Miss Pross, who understood the request as perfectly as Madame Defarge understood their answer. If they are not in that room, they are gone, and can be pursued and brought back, said Madame Defarge to herself. As long as you don't know whether they are in that room or not, you are uncertain what to do, said Miss Pross to herself. And you shall not know that, if I can prevent your knowing it. I have been in the streets from the first. Nothing has stopped me. I will tear you to pieces, but I will have you from that door, said Madame Defarge. We are alone at the top of a house in a solitary courtyard. We are not likely to be heard, and I pray for bodily strength to keep you here, while every minute you are here is worth 100,000 guineas to my darling, said Miss Pross. Madame Defarge made at the door. Miss Pross, on the instinct of the moment, seized her round the waist in both her arms and held her tight. It was in vain for Madame Defarge to struggle and to strike. Miss Pross, with the vigorous tenacity of love, always so much stronger than hate, clasped her tight, and even lifted her from the floor in the struggle that they had. The two hands of Madame Defarge buffeted and tore her face. But Miss Pross, with her head down, held her round the waist, and clung to her with more than the hold of a drowning woman. Soon, Madame Defarge's hands ceased to strike, and felt at her encircled waist. It is under my arm, said Miss Pross, in smothered tones. You shall not draw it. I am stronger than you. I bless heaven for it. Madame Defarge's hands were at her bosom. Miss Pross looked up. So white it was. Struck at it. Struck out a flash and a crash, and stood alone blended with smoke. All this was in a second. As the smoke cleared, leaving an awful stillness, it passed out on the air, like the soul of the furious woman whose body lay lifeless on the ground. In the first fright and horror of her situation, Miss Pross passed the body as far from it as she could, and ran down the stairs to call for fruitless help. Happily, she bethought herself of the consequences of what she did, in time to check herself and go back. It was dreadful to go in at the door again. But she did go in, and even went near it, to get the bonnet and other things that she must wear. These she put on, out on the staircase, first shutting and locking the door and taking away the key. She then sat down on the stairs a few moments to breathe and to cry, and then got up and hurried away. By good fortune she had a veil on her bonnet, or she could hardly have gone along the streets without being stopped. By good fortune, too, she was naturally so peculiar in appearance as not to show disfigurement like any other woman. She needed both advantages, for the marks of gripping fingers were deep in her face, and her hair was torn, and her dress, hastily composed with unsteady hands, was clutched and dragged 100 ways. In crossing the bridge, she dropped the door key in the river. Arriving at the cathedral some few minutes before her escort, and waiting there, she thought, what if the key were already taken in a net? What if it were identified? What if the door were opened and the remains discovered? What if she was stopped at the gate, sent to prison, and charged with murder? In the midst of these fluttering thoughts, they squat a bit, took her in, and took her away. Is there any noise in the streets? She asked him. The usual noises, Mr. Cruncher replied, and looked surprised by the question and by her aspect. I don't hear you, said Miss Pross. It was in vain for Mr. Cruncher to repeat what he said. Miss Pross could not hear him. So I'll nod my head, thought Mr. Cruncher, amazed. At all events she'll see that. And she did. Is there any noise in the streets now? Asked Miss Pross again. Presently. Again Mr. Cruncher nodded his head. Pong deafin an hour, said Mr. Cruncher, ruminating, with his mind much disturbed. Lest she ain't in a queer condition, said Mr. Cruncher, more and more disturbed. What can she have been attacking? To keep her courage up. Hark. There's the roll of them dreadful carts. I can hear, said Miss Pross, seeing that he spoke to her. But then, if she don't hear the roll of those dreadful carts, now very nigh their journey's end, said Mr. And indeed she never did. To be continued.